Welcome to World Stories. India, education for girls. Germany, a Syrian becomes a fireman. But we begin in Northern Ireland. After Brexit, this will be the only part of Britain to share a land border with the European Union. A local artist has found a novel way to draw attention to this by jogging.
She takes the freedom of movement in the EU literally. Alex Stanek, a fine art graduate from Northern Ireland, has run the length of the Irish border, 360 kilometers, in 7 days.
For me as an artist and as a runner and as a young person, there's something to be said for the fact that I could do this, and over the course of a week I can go on this crazy run, you know, it's some kind of crazy travel, but I'm free to enter and exit different countries.
Alex Stanek is originally from Poland and has been living in Northern Ireland since she was 11. Her aim is to highlight the invisible border separating Northern Ireland in the UK and the Republic of Ireland. Her partner hopes that a return of border checkpoints can be avoided.
It's something I think that's not really felt in London. The true implication, the way in which the border runs means there's divisions halfway through a road or through a field. It's not a traditional border in terms of rivers and things like that. It makes it extremely difficult if a hard border was to come into place.
With her performance, Alex Stanek also hopes to raise awareness about the uncertainty felt by EU nationals as a result of Britain's vote to leave the EU.
I think if the referendum didn't happen, I think some people would have just the same attitudes. They'd still see us as second-class citizens. Now there's just an allowance for that to be out in the open. And for me and my family, that was, I think, the biggest blow. It definitely took a blow for us feeling secure and feeling like we're welcome.
Northern Ireland voted against Brexit with 56% of the population in opposition. Alex now hopes that more people will follow her footsteps and make their voices heard.
India is home to an estimated 400 million people who can't read or write. The rate of illiteracy is especially high among women, many of whom can barely write their names. 13-year-old Sadia Khan wants to do much more than that.
Sadia Khan has already been in class the entire day, but she's still eager for more. Hardly anything can stop this 13-year-old from pursuing her love of learning.
I think that studies are very important for everyone, so I really love to come to school. If I'm tired, if I get a fever, if I'm also sick, so that time also come to school.
The first time she went to school was 7 years ago in a village just outside India's capital, New Delhi. She got there thanks to Literacy India, an organization that helps underprivileged children who would otherwise not be in school. The organization focuses particularly on young girls. Their educations are often neglected in rural communities out of safety concerns or because parents need them to help run the household. And although India passed a Right to Education Act in 2009, challenges still remain.
Definitely Right to Education helped and he has brought some changes in the terms of more enrollment, more attendance, more facilities into the school, but in terms of the changing the mindset of the communities, it's not effective. So to change the mindset of the community, we will have to go on the ground, we will have to reach them, we will have to convince them. So I think it will take time.
Sadia represents what can happen when these kinds of challenges are overcome. She lives walking distance from the school and shares a room with her parents and sister. The family doesn't have a lot of money, and neither parent received much of an education. For her mother, Ravina, school was never an option growing up. But today, she feels her lack of education limits what she can do and wants a different life for her daughters. I feel very sad that I'm not educated. If only I had just a little bit of schooling. But now when I want to use the phone, I need to wait for my children or my husband to help. And there are lots of things like that I have to think about. Sadia's father, Azim, dyes clothes for a living. But business is slow right now. The machines he usually works with are barely in use. Azim doesn't have the qualifications to change professions easily. So he sees Sadia's education as a potential opportunity for the entire family. If she studies and makes something of herself, then it will be to our benefit. Our life will change, and so will hers. There will definitely be change, and it will be good. The signs are promising. Sadia already uses what she's learned to help her father with things he used to struggle with, like taking orders or writing bills. And Sadia's recent admission to a more established school is also a major step, one she hopes will help her achieve her dream.
It's been 2 years since Monir al-Sheikh fled Syria. Like hundreds of thousands of other refugees, he struggled through the Balkans before finally reaching his goal, Germany. DW has been taking a look at how he's faring.
Monir al-Sheikh is the newest member of the volunteer fire brigade in the western town of Arnsberg.
Okay. Brauchen wir das, oder? Nimm mal vorsichtshalber mit, ja. Schafft ihr das? Ja. Gut, okay.
Once a week, the firefighters gather to simulate a rescue operation. It's challenging, but for Monir, taking part in these exercises is important.
Der eine Arm, Fuß angelehnt. Da.
As a refugee, it's very important to give something back. These people have opened their doors to us, and we have to show them that we're grateful. It's our duty.
One of the biggest hurdles for Monir is understanding the orders. Slowly but surely, he's beginning to find his feet.
In the beginning, it's difficult to wrap your head around everything. But he's doing really well, and is slowly getting to grips with the specialist vocabulary we use here.
When he's not at the fire station, Monir volunteers in the local community, helping with odd jobs like hedge trimming. After arriving in Germany, he founded the initiative New Neighbors to help migrants integrate. He became a point of contact for new arrivals, helping other migrants with bureaucracy and coming to terms with life in Germany. Despite his volunteer work, Monir is struggling himself. He was only recently able to find his own apartment, and despite his best efforts, is still searching for a paid job. For now, he has to make do with the 300 euros he receives from the government each month. Monir often thinks back to 2 years ago. Then he was traveling to Germany along the so-called Balkan route, but got stranded in Hungary.
The situation in Hungary was unbelievable. We slept on the ground for 4 days. I said that if the situation doesn't improve, I'll just have to go back to Syria.
Eventually, the border opened and Monir was taken to Germany by bus, along with thousands of others. Now he's trying to make a new home here. He's applied for nearly 50 jobs across the country. Every time his application has been rejected. Life in Germany, he says, is harder than he ever would have imagined.
Niger was until recently one of the people-smuggling hubs of Africa. Bashir Ama was involved in this illegal business in the desert city of Agadez. But since the government started cracking down on illegal migration, people smugglers have had to find other work.
Bashir Ama has a lot of time on his hands to talk shop with the club's soccer trainer. Bashir used to make a lot of money by helping migrants across the Sahara Desert all the way to Libya. But when the government cracked down on people smugglers, Bashir decided to call it quits. He now helps fund the city's biggest soccer club.
This is a club of people smugglers. I'm a people smuggler. The vice president is a people smuggler. And so is everyone who's in charge here. And so are the investors.
His experience as a smuggler comes in handy for Bashir's latest business deal. 8 of his players are migrants who had been stranded in Agadez, where Bashir recruited them for his team. Player 66 from Ivory Coast also once dreamed of becoming a soccer superstar in Europe. Instead, Mahamadou now plays for Bashir's club.
If we redouble our efforts, we can make it to the top league. This season wasn't going so well, but next season it's going to be better.
Bashir now tries to prevent them from making the trek to Europe, mostly because it's in his own interest. They are his top players after all, but also because more and more ruthless gangs are taking over Niger's trafficking business.
The routes are checked everywhere at the moment. That's why the traffickers take different routes through the desert, and they're very dangerous.
Bashir takes us to one of the hidden desert cities just outside of Agadez, where many of the new gangs are operating from. It's said to be ruled by the mafia. This visit is not without risk for the former people smuggler. Relations with the new guys are understandably strained. But he says he's well connected, so they won't harm him. He's mostly interested in scouting talent among the hundreds of stranded migrants who ran out of money to continue their travels. Many have been stuck here for months, but nothing seems to deter them from their journey.
My final destination is Europe, no matter what obstacles I run into. I'm not afraid. I'm only going to die once.
In the end, Bashir manages to find a potential soccer player from Ivory Coast and invites him to come to tryouts. It's where he will have to prove he has enough talent to play for Niger's second division. And most importantly, whether he is ready to give up his dream of Europe for now.